to launch KIN at the Umagine Innovation Center. The video that we just saw explained the challenges that we face in this unprecedented age of global communication. Even though we know everything that's happening around the world, we really don't know the problem is that we don't know what is happening around us in our own areas, in Velachery, in Tambaram, and in T Nagar and ECR and so on. With most main media and popular media moving towards international, national, and state level news, events, sports, culturals, and so on, there is a very big gap that's actually there. So you do have local tabloids and social groups giving limited information about everything that's happening around us, but it's not digital, it's not real time, and they do have a very limited presence. So that's what KIN is about. It's a platform that's triangulating television, print, and social media for every hyperlocal community. So Chennai, our first market, has been divided into 14 hyperlocal zones. Each zone, for example, T Nagar will have its own T Nagar channel, T Nagar will have its own T Nagar print, and it'll also have its own T Nagar social media. So we are just not only an entertainment providing application, we are trying to create or build hyperlocal communities and also a marketplace for everyone to actually live in. We believe that your neighborhood is your first stepping stone before you enter the world. So once you're on that stage, there are no limits as to where you can go. So there's unique opportunities that's available for everyone, be it talent or be it small businesses. Talents, you actually have reality singing shows which are very, very popular today. Almost every year, 50,000 people apply for singing competitions. Only 5,000 of them make it for the auditions. And less than 100 people get, show their face on TV. And only 30 of them, travel long enough for us to remember their names. So what happens to the others? What platforms do we actually give in? Here in KIN, they'll be able to show their talent and they'll be a celebrity in their own neighborhood, in their own spaces. Also for small businesses, we have this element where they're able to communicate their products and services. A shirt shop or a clothes store can tell people, what are the new things that are available. We're trying to promote local businesses and also local entrepreneurs. We're trying to help them to compete in this digital world so that the old local economy continues to exist and thrive. This is a tech launch, so I do want to actually talk a little bit about startups and a couple of things. My organization, it is an experienced startup. Startups are usually with younger people. So my management team and I, we have collectively over 150 years of experiences across the world in tech, in media, and in running businesses across the world. From a tech perspective, we have a very, very strong mobile streaming platform teacher and are fully native on both Android and iOS. We're using Kotlin, Swift, Node.js, and we're still hiring a lot of people and we will be growing quite a bit. Chennai will only be the first market to which we would be entering the rest of Tamil Nadu, and we'll also be going other places as well, other states too. KIN will become a disruptor in the media space. You all know that, everyone today is glued on to their or mobile phones. Even I'm holding this now for my speech now, particularly with the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha groups, phone users in our country, and this is a very, very growing number. The age of television or radio and other things have gone. So everything that you want is currently available in the touch of your button, only on the phone. And we will actually make a difference in how hyperlocal communities communicate, share, and grow together. So I'd request all of you to download KIN. That's where we belong, and you can actually listen to it. While this is on, we are still a media platform. So Anirudh has created a KIN anthem for us, and I think the team said that they'll try and actually play it on. So you can download the songs as well later, and you can download the app and you can listen to it too. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
உலக நாடுகள்ல நடக்கிறதுலாம் நமக்கு தெரியும். ஆனா நம்மள சுத்தி இருக்கிற கடைங்க, இடங்க, ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் ஈவென்ட்ஸ் இதெல்லாம் நமக்கு தெரியுமா? சோ இதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சுக்க shall we kin?
விரலை நான் போர்க்க இதயம் இதயம் நான் சேர்க்க புதிய உலகை நான் பார்க்க shall we begin, shall we begin? Knock knocking, குட்டி குட்டி talking, rocking, நம்ம ஏரியாவை rocking, knock knocking, அக்கம் பக்கம் நோக்கிங், நீ நான் handshaking, கிண்ணிலே கிட்டும் பண்ண தூக்கல், காரணம் இது ஹைப்பர் லோக்கல், நம்ம ஆப்புக்குள்ள நம்ம நக்கல் நம்ம மக்கள் திரையிலே திருவிழா கின் 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 ஆலந்தெல்லாம் சாக்கு கின் 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 ஏவரோட்ட காக்கு கின் 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 நம்ம ஏரியா நம்ம பிரைடு கிண்ணில் வந்து சேரு ஏரியா ஸ்கூலுங்க ஏரியா ஷாப்புங்க ஏரியா ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் இன்னுக்குள்ள இருக்கு உலகம் சின்னது அழகா மின்னது ஆட்டம் எல்லாம் இருக்கு நம்ம ஒரு முறுக்கு ஏரியா கிளப் ஏரியா ஏரியா மார்க்கெட் கிண்ணுக்குள்ள இருக்கு நம்ம டிரைவ் இது நம்ம பைப் இது கிண்ணுக்குள்ள இறங்கு தொடங்குவோம் கணக்கு விரலை நான் போக்க இதயம் நான் சேர்க்க புதிய உலகை நான் பார்க்க shall we begin, shall we begin?
Thanks everyone. Sorry we couldn't play the video because it was last minute, but I'm sure that it'll start circulating in social media soon, so you'll be able to see it. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, sir. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gayatri. The next item on the agenda is a partner felicitation. Our partners play a huge role in supporting our vision in nurturing the innovation ecosystem of Tamil Nadu. I would like to request Mr. Dheeraj Kumar IAS, Additional Chief Secretary to Government IT and DS Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, to felicitate our innovation partners in the presence of our Honorable Minister, Dr. Palanivel Thiagarajan. I would like to invite Mr. Shanmuga Anandaraman, Director, Social Impact from Freshworks Technologies, onto the stage, please. Ms. Uma, Chief of Staff from Kaveri Medical Trust. Mr. Sunil Varghese, General Manager HR from Tube Investments. Mr. Dilli Babu from Paytm Foundation. Ms. Logeshwari from Zoho Corp. Thank you, partners. Your support is most appreciated. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Team IT&T Hub to get on the stage for a photo op with the dignitaries. I sincerely thank our Honorable Minister Dr. Palnivel Tyagarajan and Mr. Dheeraj Kumar, IAS Additional Chief Secretary to Government IT and DS Department for choosing to spend time with us in launching these next-gen products and felicitating the contributors to the Tamil Nadu innovation ecosystem. Thank you so much, sir.
Proud of our creations, right? That one reel that you will post on Instagram, if it is going to get 500 views, you yourself will watch it 400 times out of the 500 times. That is what we are most proud of. We love our creations. Make your game, play your games. or if it's VFX or any of those things, right? Make a small reel. So there are technologies for VFX. There's Unreal is also used in VFX. There's Blender, there's Maya, a handful of technologies.
There are a lot of tools where you don't have to pay. It's a free for use tools which you could use to do it. You could also look at taking formal training if you're interested in this industry, and take training, at least the basic training, and then you can upgrade yourself. As you said, I mean, like, that's it. What the first step is to have the knowledge of what tools are required to create such games or VFX. So you'll have to train yourself for that. Either take a formal training or do your, there are a lot of online stuff available where you can also get yourself trained online.
Gaming, there, as a matter of fact, there's a booth in the exhibition area called Gamer to Maker, and they actually provide gaming training to in an online hybrid manner. So you can just stay at home and take that. But outside of that, I'm sure there are other institutes also. ICT Academy is a great, well-known institute that is, that is taking initiatives.
There are many, in fact. Most of the colleges and universities also offer such kind of courses. So it's got a lot of options. You can first train yourself, and then, as you said, create one small game, and then take inputs, and then probably you can go further.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Do we have time for one more question? If anyone is there to stand up and ask? Good, very good. One last question. Thank you.
Kinds of entrepreneurship is booming out now, and through various schemes which is offered by our government, and the results getting of those entrepreneurs is going to be more success in this inflational level, like from Corona, it has 6.2 to 6.8, and now it's 7 point. And the results, whether it's going to be achieved or not, and how it is to be done in more good way in the society.
It's a very heavy question. I think Arjun will start.
No, I love that question. Can I know your name, please?
Question. Very nice question, man.
Thank you, sir. Indra, sir.
Sorry?
Indra from Sairam.
Indra, okay. So let me throw a hypothetical to you, because you spoke about inflation, a word that is even we don't understand. I don't understand. But here's a hypothetical. Let's say you take up a job, okay, and you go to your dream company, and do you think in a career that is going to span around 30 years, what are the odds that you will only work for one company? Very little, especially in the environment where we are living in. Your inflation and all these matters are going to come over there only. It is inaccurate to look at entrepreneurship as a one project. It's not a semester project that you do and maybe you will get an A or maybe you will get a C. It's not. Yes.
It's differ with persons to person, but there are some key points where each and everyone should follow that.
Yeah.
So that everyone can a way to win.
No, exactly. So that's what I'll tell you out of experience and out of perspective. See, I've been in this space for about 18 years now, and I've also had a fairly successful stint as an entrepreneur. The key part, and this is a very small one sentence learning that I will tell you, that is a summary of whatever I've learned. If you stay on the table for long enough, the chips will come to you. I agree that everyone has a different approach. Some people are optimistic, some people are pessimistic, but if you look at the horizon of time, so when I started my business, my father-in-law gave me a hypothetical. He said, "Are you going to be comfortable living on a paycheck of 25,000 rupees for the next 5 years?" To a lot of people, the answer to that is unfortunately no, but I was comfortable. I said, "Yeah, sure, I will manage it." And he said, "Then you'll succeed, don't worry." And eventually what happened was that, sometimes you get wins, sometimes you get losses, sometimes you get clients, sometimes you don't get clients. But eventually the chips will come back to you. You get to a point where you start with first getting your own wants fulfilled, then you start having a staff, then you start having an office, then you take to the next steps. So it's not
Keep looking for ideas. We don't stop. That's why you would have heard the recent term series Real entrepreneurs.
The previous panel speaker spoke about the book reading habit. So if you're not interested, there is a book which is recently released by Raghuram Rajan and Lamba. It's called Breaking the Mold, where they're arguing that, yes, India can take the services route. The second interesting point, which is relevant to our topic directly, was Minister was saying, can this growth be distributed to all the places in TN, not restricting to coastal cities or the big cities? So these are the contextual discussions which we'll have today. That's a theme which will come back into the panel. And now I'll introduce the panel. I'll start with Kannan. Kannan represents Omega Healthcare. If you are interested, he is the largest employer, largest is creating the white collar jobs in the city of Tiruchirappalli. No claps? Okay. And he will organization and the work we do. And today we're also looking at the success stories, because we heard last 2 days we've been hearing about how to make TN better, how to make it spread worldwide, etc. But which will certainly inspire you and serve as an example for others to emulate. So that's the context. I'll come back to Kannan later. Then I have Naved. He heads the R&D division of Bosch based in Coimbatore. And he oversees just not the IT jobs, but core engineering skills in Coimbatore. Welcome, Naved. And then we have Krishna. Krishna is based out of Madurai. Incidentally, Krishna works out of Madurai. Kannan keeps visiting Trichy, and Naved is based out of Coimbatore. So if you want an example of a career professionals, because they're all, you can see all of us are at least 25, 30 years in the industry. So there is a possibility of realizing your dreams even in small towns. And I'll talk about Desikru a little later, because we're going to talk about Panchayat villages there. So Krishna represents Honeywell, Madurai, and one common thing for all of us, at least 2 decades, every organization has spent in these geographies. So we're not talking about today or what happened in the recent trend. It's not a fad, right? These companies have invested in these geographies and they have realized their benefits, which is what we'll hear from them today. So this is the context. So between all of us, you see Madurai, Trichy, Coimbatore, and I represent Desikru. Our model is to take the jobs to where people are. So we started with the Panchayat villages. So the work which is getting done from these areas are now getting exported, if you can use the word, to almost 6 continents in the world. Only Antarctica, we don't have any clients. So that's the potential which is possible in these kind of scenario. So let's get into the discussion today. So I'll start with Kannan first. What we're going to do is to explain why Omega went to Trichy. And in the first round, if you can cover a little bit about the talent, Kannan, and then we can go with the rest of the...
Sure. Thanks, Mani. எத்தனை பேர் திருச்சியில் இருக்கீங்க? 10 பேரா இருப்பீங்களா? எல்லாம் தமிழ் புரியுமா? All okay, English or Tamil for that matter. If you do look at most of the population that even works with Omega, most of them, and we are a 32,000 people company today, located in India, in the Philippines, in the US, and in Colombia. Out of the 32,000 people, 25,000 people are based in India. And out of 25,000 people, 16,000 people are based in Tamil Nadu. And out of 16,000 people in Tamil Nadu, 7,000 people are in Trichy, Tiruchirappalli. And we started this in 2011 as a center. Omega Healthcare, as your name would suggest, it's in the healthcare ecosystem, not in the Indian market, but in the US market. And all of the 25,000 people in India are working for the US healthcare ecosystem. In Tiruchirappalli, when we started in 2011, we started with 100 people, roughly. And today, we stand at being the largest white-collar employer in Tiruchirappalli, with about 7,000 people, of which 4,000 people are in office. In today's environment, being in office it becomes unique in a way, but we do have 4,000 people working in office in Tiruchirappalli. And the question that Manu, when we spoke about, was why Tiruchirappalli to start with, right? So somewhere down the demand, in the ethos of the organization, some of these are built in. So in our case, it was the CEO who had the vision of starting something in Tiruchirappalli because he had the affiliation to that. So it always starts like that. But we are talking about emerging hubs today. We are talking about Omega having started this 13 years back, when Tiruchirappalli didn't have what it has today. Today they just opened up a new airport in Tiruchirappalli. It's an international airport. You have LCOTs of the world investing in cutting edge infrastructure out there, and it's a much different city today as it was 13 years back. But I think the underlying of what happened was the conviction of going into some city and placing yourself there as a bet. It was a pure bet that was placed to saying, I want to do something from where I originated. In most cases, it is the case, and I want to pay forward, and I want to start there. 5 years, we struggled. 5th year, we were about to close down. Right? And then, things evolved, and we should talk about it at a later stage. But things evolved, but what prevailed was that the continuation of the interest of the leadership team to continue being invested in a location. Then you can call it tier 2, right? Now it's emerging. But then we still had infrastructure issues, we had connectivity issues and whatnot. But the willingness to stay put in that and continue to invest in the ecosystem out there, including skills. And we are a completely skills-based environment. Our inventory, our asset, our revenue generators are people. As simple as that. So we started an academy out there, and over a period we evolved to becoming the largest employers out there. It's a great case study of how to and how not to at the same time. But the good part is that we didn't have to go through two companies to understand one did well and one didn't. It was in the same company that emerged to becoming something that could become what we are right now over a period of time. But that effectively was the story behind Omega Healthcare in that ecosystem, Mani.
Yeah, thanks, Kannan. Before we go to Nave, just one quick question. You talked about skills and skills academy. The academy idea came because you didn't find enough talent which is available to join, or was it a captive thought? What is the thought process behind this academy?
So it always starts with how not to, right? So we started off with going there. We thought it will be yet another center. When we open a center, people will come and join and will be willing to do things, and we will grow from, X to Y. That didn't happen. For the first 4-5 years, we were lagging on skill, right? Retention was a big issue. We really didn't understand what was not working. So the first part was then we decided that it is not important to just import people into a location. You should have somebody native to that location. And that's when we dawned on us that we should have somebody who has been there, done that in Tiruchirappalli, and we got somebody.
Like anchor clients, anchor leadership.
Anchor leadership. It was very important because ethos of every location is different, right? So, it's like when you're getting into a new location and you're experimenting, first thing is to find out what works in that location. We were throwing many things, it wasn't sticking. And, at some point in time, we had to go back and say, okay, what were we not doing right? What was leadership? We brought in the right leadership. Then we offered it to the rest of the organization, 8,000 people, saying, if you are from Tiruchirappalli, go back to Tiruchirappalli. Right? And we will not change anything in terms of your emoluments, in terms of, actually we incentivize them to go back to Tiruchirappalli, so to say. And they did go back at that point. And you would see, right, Tiruchirappalli had it still has 180 colleges, so to say. Then we went to the colleges and said, okay, what works for you guys? And they said, we aren't working because we don't know the healthcare domain. And there wasn't enough training that was being provided to us. And that's what prompted us to start a coding academy. And we are into medical coding mostly at that point in time. We started a medical coding academy and said, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you are interested in having a US healthcare background, from an occupation standpoint, come and join us and we will train you for it. That's where it started.
No, that's
the
excellent.
idea
I think
behind it.
the domain part, what you're focusing on, I think it's an important factor when we go forward from where we are today. Before we go to Naveed, one more data points for all the young students. NASSCOM and Deloitte have studied this concept of emerging, you heard from Bhaskar. So they published a report. They picked up about 26 cities across India, right? And then when I went through the list, when I did the research to find out how they arrived and where do we stand, you will find that a lot of the cities were capital cities. Because obviously when you're talking about India, you would want to include the cities which are not yet into the IT BPM sector in a big way. So naturally, a lot of capital cities are there. But if you were to really compare Madurai or Trichy to those cities, it will not be that fair. Because they already have an advantage in terms of infrastructure, people, etc. But we are way ahead in terms of the skill and the clients. So if you remove all of that, and if you look at the list then, Tamil Nadu is the only state which has got 4 locations identified. 3 of them are here, 4th one is Vellore, right? Now this tells you the invested talent which is already available. So even by the industry, the expectation is that TN will lead this revolution. So let's go to Naveed now. We are now talking about shifting from domain towards engineering skills. Because there's another perception that job means it's only IT job or a BPM job. But that's not the case. We need the entire ecosystem. So we'll hear from Naveed about his story.
Good morning. If you talk about, how we came to Coimbatore, it is not because somebody from Coimbatore wanted to do it, because, Bosch is a multinational, which does in a kind of process-based way of selecting location. So, we wanted to find access to talent outside Bangalore. We were in Bangalore, right? So there was a task force created to look around other emerging cities and then make an assessment of where do we want to go next. So that was the work that was done. That was 18 years ago. So even before all these emerging hub reports were created, this was like the process we had internally made. And out of that, we were surprised to find that Coimbatore, in fact, is, very close to Bangalore in terms of the talent availability, right? There are universities which are, kind of working very close in the new technology space. And number of graduates which were coming out of Coimbatore are very high. Only challenge for us was that we were in the engineering space. Right, so we have at Coimbatore, there were Cognizant who had set up a large space. That was the largest company that time, but it was an IT space. So we came over in 2006, and that was the time where, and I can also see Anita, who is sitting here. She was part of the team in those days. It was really making it work. It was not that you can really apply some of the template which you are used worldwide, which delivered results in other cities, can simply be used and then you get results. It doesn't work like that. So it was really a time where we had to invent, be innovative. Very similar to what Kannan said, there were also phases where people were really questioning, right? Was it a right decision to go to a city like Coimbatore? And very happy to see that in the last 18 plus years that we have grown through that phases. And now, if I look at this growth phase, there were 3 major waves we kind of rode on, right? The first one was the talent arbitrage. So where you talk about where you have talent, where you have massive talent available, where you can hire and deploy in scale. Yeah, so there obviously you need to have access to large colleges which really deliver or develop students in the area where we work in. So we hire electronics, computer science, mechatronics, mechanical engineering, and all that. Primarily, right? And you need to have access to that, right? That is the first part wherein you hire from campus. But of course, you cannot deliver just with people from campus. You also need to have a critical mass of people who work in that particular domain, who has experience in domain. And Bosch works primarily in the automotive space, where you have products coming into which are based on electronics, control units and all that. So you need to have people who have some experience in this domain. So that is the part where we had a really challenge. So similar to what Kannan said, we also tapped into the talent available in other locations. People who wanted to come back to Coimbatore from cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, all the other places. And also we had incentivized this movement in some way. So that was the first part, that is building the base, and scaling. And then the second phase came in where Coimbatore was no longer a support center, right, to other locations. Initially, of course, it was, right? It was working together with other locations. And that was not good enough because you then ask people, what is your identity, right? What do you represent? Do you want to be known as someone who is supporting a location, or do you want to have your own identity? And that was the second phase where we were consciously building that capability, building complete programs out of Coimbatore. So we have now world-class programs for cutting edge, in the cutting edge technology space with the global market, completely delivered out of Coimbatore. That was the second wave for us, right? And the third wave came in wherein now we have innovation for global market out of Coimbatore. There are areas wherein the technology first comes to Coimbatore, not in Bangalore, but in Coimbatore. And they innovate, and this goes into the other market. So I think that's the wave which we have seen. And I think that is really showing that, yes, in many cases, Coimbatore is better than Coimbatore talent is better than other talent. But
now I think Coimbatore people should raise noise or clap because he's saying Coimbatore is better than Trichy. Hello. That's what he said. Okay. Thanks, Naved. And so now we'll shift to another part of story, which is sort of quite different from the IT. And the organization also has multiple locations, not just outside India, even in India. And they are doing pure R&D. So let's hear from Krishna about why they went to Madurai when they had options like Pune, Hyderabad, and everything. That's the perspective we want from you, Krishna.
Sure. Thank you. So good morning, all. First of all, thanks to the organizers for giving us an opportunity to speak in this forum. So let me start a little bit with what Honeywell does. Many of you may know, or some of you may not. So Honeywell is primarily into three areas. One is in the aviation. So this is a mega trend that's going to happen for next several decades. So a lot of our offerings and solutions cater to this space. The second area that we focus on is energy and transition. So today you see that there is a lot of focus on decarbonization. So there is a lot of focus on switching to alternate and sustainable fuels. So we work on that entire spectrum of industries and end markets. The third one is specifically on industries as well as buildings. So if we put together, we are a technology company serving very niche applications and niche market. And the engineering and R&D and innovation arm of Honeywell is known by the name Honeywell Technology Solutions. It operates in India. The first center came up in Bangalore in the 90s. And during that time, we want to build the scale in terms of our testing our lab capabilities and then also in terms of talent development. So that's the time the focus was, can we go to a different region apart from the metros? Like, for example, Bangalore, outside maybe Chennai to some other location. So one of the legendary stories, one of our senior Honeywell leadership was around the region and they found Madurai talent, a large number of engineering graduates available in that space. So they thought that, okay, this could be a great place because a lot of engineering students are here, a lot of colleges are here. So that's how we set up our shop as part of a college, Tyagaraja College, the very famous college in Madurai. That's how we started as a training center. Slowly we went into programming, and then from there we went into software development, and then the team of people who actually started the part of the Honeywell Madurai journey moved from software development to embedding those software into hardware that goes into aerospace, building, industries, oil and gas platforms, so that it gets converted into a product and then it gives value to the customer. And over a period of that journey, slowly, as Navid just pointed out, people started taking some ownership of certain design areas. So they took certain aspects and said, hey, we will lead this from Madurai. So that's how the talent grew into that side. You'll be surprised to know that I have some of my colleagues sitting in the front row. Some of our team members are actually private licensed aircraft pilots, actually, because to design software for an aircraft, to fly an aircraft, you should have a mentality of a pilot, what you need. So some of our people operating from Madurai are trained pilots. Some of them have experience in actually designing products for the aircraft based on that exposure. So a lot of exposure. And then finally, we kind of moved into a space where we have also launched a global sustainability center of excellence. So this is one of its kind sustainability, COE for entire annual in Madurai. Because if you talk about the next generation of embedding sustainability engineering principles in product development, the one thing we need to at least show and walk the talk is to put a center in a region, not in crowded city, because sustainability is all about building resilience and moving away and kind of decarbonizing the mega cities and moving towards regions where the power, the availability of people, all are sustainable in the long run and doesn't put too much stress on the ecosystem that we operate. So that's how we ended up in Madurai, and then we are indeed really happy to be part of the ecosystem, and our people are very happy in contributing to the larger new product introductions that we serve multiple markets across the globe.
Thanks, Krishna. Before we move on to the next round, let me just complete this set by talking about us, which is Desi Crew. You heard the shift which has happened from Bangalore to Trichy or Chennai to Coimbatore. That's one of the trends where the large enterprises, when they want to expand, they look at locations which are feasible for their businesses. But Desi Crew started from the other extreme. So the question in front of the founding team of Desi Crew was, what can be done in villages? Because we saw that almost all of us experienced this. If not directly, at least our parents would have originated from one of the villages. They would have all migrated to the big cities. Now, if the talent is available, can the jobs be taken to where they are instead of us running around Bangalore and Coimbatore, even Coimbatore and Chennai, right? So that was the thought process. Of course, this 15 years back, we didn't even have any of these conversations and facilities. People didn't believe. People said, really, can work happen? Would you have power? Will people speak in English? All the questions were there. But the model evolved from there. And I'm happy to say that we have about 4 centers in 2 different states. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we have clients across the world. And these team members are still working from their own native place, either cycling or bikes. Some people have got cars now. So that is possible even from the remotest possible. The places which I'm talking about are, I don't know how many of you will even recognize the names in this team as well, because we are all from the same state. How many of you know Kollumangudi? Have you heard of Kollumangudi? Somebody is raising, and thank you very much. So that's near Mailadurai. And we have another center called in Thukanayakan Palayam. We call it TN Palayam. That's near E Road. Okay. There is another center. Oh, thank you very much. And there is another center closer to Virupuram. So, and this has been happening for almost 15 years. So now you know that there are no real constraints either from the market or from the leadership which we spoke earlier, or even from the raw talent which is available. So this is just a summary of who we are, what we've done so far. Now let's go to the next round. Before we go there, I just want to give a simple anecdote which all of us can relate, because Bangalore keeps coming in our conversations very often, right? How many of you know that before the Y2K phenomenon came to India, the size of Bangalore IT industry, in terms of number of people, number of companies, revenue, whatever number which you want to take today, you will be surprised to know that some of our cities have already surpassed all of this. And we are not talking about a long time. It's probably about 20, 25 years. And the advantages we have today with the government support and the talent like this, we wouldn't need another 25 years. We're probably looking at 5 to 6 years. And yesterday, again, Honorable Minister mentioned that the sweet spot for many of the viable enterprises is about 1 million population, where we could get talent and service the customers. I have a slightly different take on that. I'm sure my panelists will watch when we go to the next round. These centers are not representing Coimbatore, Madurai, Trichy, all the places. They represent maybe about 100 kilometers radius and maybe thousands of villages, because this is where the true talent is really coming from. So that's the message, and I want the panel to respond one on the 10th part. You talked about acquiring the fresh talent. What about the middle management? Because when I talk to customers, when we speak in NASCOM forums, one of the pushbacks I hear is, yes, you can hire freshers, you can give them the skills, but where are you going to get the middle management to manage the talent? And in the growth perspective, I'm sure Naved will agree that if you go to 10,000 people organization, it's not going to happen only with fresh graduates. So can you quickly cover about how you faced and managed the mid-level management?
Awesome. So now, if you look at from the conventional, framework, we talk about managing people is important for any organization that is be it on IT or engineering. So we, in fact, also went from that construct that the focus was on people management to a large extent, and from there, of course, I will also talk about the shift. But initially, of course, this was also the challenge we had. So, which means, of course, you need to find people who have experience in the domain. Now, a company like Bosch, working in automotive area, setting up a center in Coimbatore, and want to find people who can work in those domains, who can take a new function and drive it in a Formula One track or a race track. And then validate, and then of course fine tune and bring it back. So these kind of talents were extremely difficult to find, and it was also not possible to find senior people who can mentor the youngsters in this space. So that was something we had to really develop in a painful way. So it took us 15 odd years to have that kind of talent which are available, and then keep them inside the office. We shifted in that journey from managing people to leading people. So which means bringing focus from people management to really have a career track in technology and project management. So there are also people who manage operations, but in the past, the number of people in operations were large. And from there, we moved the leadership to a technology and project management. So there are additional career paths which was created. And in this space, of course, it is not that difficult to find a project manager who worked in a consumer electronics space, bring him into an automotive space, because you are working with the similar standards, certification, you have, the concepts are similar. So we have addressed that problem in that way, because gone are the days where number of people who work with you is an asset, rather it's become a liability for you, right? So
5 years, the question is, didn't you get another opportunity? The quality of the thinking in terms of loyalty is very different to when you go into I would say parts like Tiruchirappalli, where loyalty has a very different connotation altogether. So be it in Madurai or Coimbatore. So for you to bring in ethos, to understand that ethos was important from a middle management system, was itself a learning. And the minute you started learning, first thing is, of course, how do you get domain? We are a healthcare ecosystem in the US. Domain is so critical. If mid-management does not understand domain, how will they impart it, right? And therefore, the question of, can the guys from Trichy go back to Trichy and figure out if you can do something out there and incentivizing them? That's one. And second thing is, given the fact that we've been there for like 11 years, our mid-management over the last 7 years has attrition of less than 1%. Because the minute they start realizing that there is enough ethos in the organization and as a cultural background, you're not importing necessarily talent, and the fact that you are growing within, that made it a lot more easier for us to. But then it all started with the fact of an import mindset, right? So that's where we went wrong. But over a period, we did learn that it is not just important for you to get the skill. To maintain the skill, you need to understand the ethos of each of these organizations. That's where this got built over a period.
I think that's very good. It also resonates with our own story. Sorry to butt in, because we need to talk about it. So the first batch of graduates we recruited in Kollumangudi are still with the organization after 17 years. Of course, they become managers, somebody is managing client relationships, etc., but they haven't left the company. And nor is my first client who landed in the Kollumangudi village. So I think the ethos part, we completely resonate. Krishna, I want to add to that, middle manager.
Sure. So from our perspective, right, as my co-panelist said, so our managerial roles are not only kind of people management, but not only people management, but also owning the technology piece. So once you become a manager, like what happens is usually the technical people who work as a project engineer or a design lead kind of takes this role over a period of some years. And once you take up the role, you start engaging with people, their talent development, building the expertise, but also themselves start getting exposed to our clients actually. So since it's a global company and we operate across geographies, once you are a manager, you get access to reaching out to those clients in different parts. You try to understand what they do, what they need. You build that skill of conversation, trying to understand what their needs are and trying to bring those VOC, what we call voice of customer, into our product development. So that way you are actually learning a lot in the job actually, and that actually helps them to feel that there is a career path ahead for them. Even sitting in Madurai, we are talking to maybe in Chicago, we are talking to customers in Dubai, we are talking sometime to Sydney. So it doesn't matter you need to be in Bangalore or in Chennai, you get the same exposure. You talk to them on the latest and greatest happening today in terms of technology and trying to build that in your product design. So that way the manager, the homegrown talent are actually staying put and want to further evolve, not thinking about moving to maybe another city or so. So that's one way we are able to
Fantastic,
retain the
Krishna.
talent.
We are getting signals that we should wind up, but we will not wind up. We'll give us a few minutes because we just want to bring up one important element which all of us should be aware of, which is very different from the way industry operates, or even when we talk about jobs, what happens in the country. We all think or we all know that government is one of the largest employers, or everybody aspires to get a government job, especially from our places, right? But like Bhaskar pointed out earlier, the number of jobs which IT BPM sector has created alone is more than all jobs the central government is at stake today. I don't know how many of the young people are even aware of this fact. And it's only a beginning, right? And that's one part. So the jobs are going to be created here. But how are these jobs different from, let's say, what is getting created in Bangalore and Chennai? There is an important element which came out during our conversation I want to bring in, which is about women participation. So I can see in the audience also we have a majority of women, but just not the audience. It is added to the stability of the organization, and I can even stretch to say that the future models have to incorporate that as one of the key elements. But I would like to hear from the leaders about the role of women, the percentages, numbers, and very quickly, maybe a couple of minutes each, and then we can wind up and open the questions.
Sure. That's something that I keep boasting of. Tiruchirappalli has about 60% who are female population out there. 60%, and the fact that the attrition level at that, is way below where the market is, right? In a BPM industry, when I talk to colleagues, they say, what's your attrition level like? And I go like, maybe 4-5%. And they say, oh, that low. And I say, no, that's per month. It becomes very unique in that. But in this space, especially in Tiruchirappalli, the quality of talent that we found, especially in that niche segment, and that evolved over a period as well. As I was talking to you, it was, and out there, the time between graduation and marriage is a short period. And that's what we capitalize on. Because the minute you get married, you migrate, or you typically do not get to participate in, labor participation goes lower. But that's what we capitalize on. And we found that people who have, again, understood the ethos of the organization are always willing to come back even after marriage. So it's then, we started off as conversations. So initially we used to have now town halls with candidates. We used to have town halls with parents, to figure out how safe it is for an environment like this to happen. Now, the next level of town halls are happening with spousal relationships, to saying, why is it okay for people to continue? And I think, that we are slowly evolving and as evolved.
Thanks. Can we quickly hear Naved? Is there anything special about Bosch and women?
Yeah, I think
what
Kannan brought out, the number 60 is our aspirational target. Right? That's our dream to reach. We are more or less at around close to 28%. While when we hire more than 50% women engineers. And the question is really, how do we retain? So all these challenges are there. There one element which really helped us, and I think it is going to help further, is the leadership role we talked about. wherein we have now a separation of project management and technical leadership role, which is easier for women associates to manage time, right, from work. They can, of course, stay at home if you need for certain days and then do the work. So these are the things we see. Lot more women leaders are now kind of looking for such roles, and I hope that will help us. But I would say it is still a challenge for us, yeah.
Okay, so again, Desi Crew's perspective, our percentage is about 70 to 75% in terms of the workforce. But what is interesting is what Naved said, that the role which gives assurance to the newcomers or the people who are in the organization who have spent time, who have taken really path-breaking steps. But what I mean by is in the village scenario where people have not heard of night shift operations, there are people who came and stood up. Then they said married women will not work, they will not run night shift, but they've broken that barrier. So there are enough examples in organizations like this where women have actually assumed their leadership role, and they do bring in a lot of the stability and creativity which propels the organization. So last word from Krishna about how the quality part of it, because I know your numbers will not match with us, but
Right. So I'll just say that our numbers are very close to what Mr. Navid said. So that's our proportion of women employees in the organization, somewhat similar to that 30s. But what we do as a company is have a curated programs to drive women in tech forums. So that's one of our flagship program, where not only the young engineers who join the company, but also the middle level women in tech leaders actually are groomed to take up very high positions like vice presidents, senior vice presidents within the company. So Honeywell believes in that equity and equal opportunity philosophy. So these programs are run, which actually gives them much more benefits. Also in terms of creating that work-life balance in terms of hybrid work environment, because we run labs, we also need to have physical presence, but giving that extra flexibility so that people don't discontinue because of such needs. So I would say as a corporate strategy, this is very much ingrained in it, so that women leaders have actually joined and then kind of flourish in their roles. So with that, I'll conclude.
fantastic. Thanks a lot. And I think next time they will not call us if we don't wind up now. Go ahead to you.
Absolutely. Our pleasure to be an audience to this lovely conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for our speakers on stage. On that note, if I may call upon Ms. Priya, Joint Director, District Revenue Officer of the TNEGA, to extend a token of our gratitude and appreciation to our speakers, our moderator. This whole conversation has taken us through an interesting land of opportunities, of course, the evolving ecosystems, and we did get a sneak peek into the world of innovation. Our next session, ladies and gentlemen, focuses on a little bit more of a keen eye on tech talent landscape of Tamil Nadu. As we extend our thanks to our speakers, I'd also like to say that today we started off by identifying or having a conversation on the future trends within the SaaS market itself. We then moved on to exploring Tamil Nadu as a desired destination for tech journey. Further on in the last session, we had the wonderful opportunity to look at how we're tapping the potential within the emerging hubs. And with our upcoming conversation and the panel discussion, we take a look at the tech talent landscape of Tamil Nadu itself. So we delve deep into Tamil Nadu's vibrant ecosystem, where talent serves as the driving force behind innovation and growth. We're going to be uncovering the diverse pool of skills, expertise and potential that define Tamil Nadu's tech workforce. It is my pleasure to invite our speakers onto the stage with a loud round of applause from everybody in the audience, starting off with Ms. Lakshmi Kripa Jayaganesh, who is the Head of Talent Management, Digital HR and Diversity COE, India, R&T BCI. Of course, she is also an impressive person when it comes to her strategic approach, emphasizing and fostering an inclusive workplace through digital HR solutions, contributing to